I stood at the window long after Dante fell asleep, watching moonlight turn the mountains silver. 10 years. A lifetime compressed into moments that felt both endless and impossibly brief. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, the secure one, the one only a handful of people had the number to. I picked it up carefully, not wanting to wake Dante. Chiara, tomorrow 9 a.m. the Rossi matter. He insisted you be there. I frowned. The Rossi matter was supposed to be handled by Dante's legal team, something about a former associate trying to write a tell-all book. I'd assumed it was routine, the kind of problem lawyers solved with cease and desist letters and settlement agreements. But if Dante wanted me there, it wasn't routine. I slipped back into bed, fitting myself against his warmth. He stirred, arm coming around me automatically, even in sleep. This man who'd learned to rest only after I'd taught him that trust meant lowering your guard. Can't sleep. His voice was rough, barely awake. Just thinking. Dangerous, he kissed my shoulder. What about? How far we've come, how much we've built. I turned to face him in the darkness. The Rossi thing tomorrow, why do you need me there? He was quiet long enough that I knew it was serious. Because Rossi claims he has evidence of things I did before we met. Things that could damage not just my reputation but yours, our children's. My stomach tightened. What kind of things? Deals I made when I was younger, more ambitious, less careful about lines. His hand found mine under the covers, gripping tight. Nothing violent, nothing that hurt innocence, but not clean either, gray at best. And he wants money to keep quiet. He wants more than money. He wants me to facilitate something for him. A deal I'd never touch now, but that he thinks I owe him because of our past association. I understood immediately. This was the test Nana had warned about. The past circling back, demanding payment for old compromises. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. That's why I need you there, to help me see clearly. He pulled me closer. You've always been able to see the path I can't, the way through that doesn't cost me my soul. Or you could pay him, make it go away. If I pay him, he owns me. There'll be another demand and another. I know how this works, Alina. I've been on both sides of it. His voice was tired, carrying the weight of decades I hadn't witnessed. But if I refuse, the book comes out. Everything I've tried to build, the legitimate business, the clean reputation, the life where our children don't have to answer for my past, it all becomes questionable. I thought about Lucia and Marco, asleep in their rooms, innocent of everything except their father's love and their mother's determination. They'd grown up in the villa's warmth, never knowing the cold I'd endured, never understanding that their privilege was built on foundations that weren't entirely solid. Tell me about the worst thing, I said quietly. The thing in that book that would hurt most if it came out. Dante was silent for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible. I helped someone disappear, a man who testified against one of my father's associates. I didn't hurt him. I just made sure he could never be found to testify again. Gave him new papers, new identity, moved him to South America with enough money to start over. That doesn't sound. He had a family, a wife and daughter. I separated them. Told him it was the only way to keep them safe, but really it was to neutralize his testimony. They think he abandoned them. The daughter's grown now, probably still having a father who actually sacrificed everything to protect her from men like my father, like me. The confession hung between us in the darkness. This was the stain Nana had talked about. Not violence, but cruelty disguised as mercy. The kind of moral compromise that seemed justified in the moment but grew heavier with years. How long ago? 15 years before you, before I started trying to be better. And Rossi knows about this. He was the one who created the new identity. He has the documents, the trail, everything. If he publishes, that man's new life burns and his family discovers they were lied to for over a decade. I understood now why Dante needed me there. This wasn't just about protecting our family. It was about facing a choice between our safety and the safety of people we'd never met, people who'd already been hurt by Dante's past actions. We have to find that man, I said. Warn him. Give him a choice about whether the truth comes out. Elena, I'm serious. You don't get to make that decision for him again. You did that once. This time he gets to decide if he wants his family to know the truth. That's not practical. We don't even know where he is anymore. It's been 15 years. Then we find out. We use every resource you have. Because if we're going to refuse Rossi, if we're going to let that book get published, we owe this man the chance to control his own story. Dante was quiet, and I knew he was calculating, weighing options with the same strategic mind that had built an empire. Finally, he exhaled. "You're right, God help me, you're right." He kissed my forehead. "This is why I married you. You make impossible things feel necessary." Necessary and impossible aren't opposites. Sometimes they're the same thing. We didn't sleep much after that. By the time dawn broke over the mountains, we had a plan. Not a good plan, not a safe plan, but an honest one. The meeting with Rossi took place in a neutral location, a lawyer's office in the city center. He arrived looking prosperous, confident, the kind of man who'd learned to profit from other people's secrets. "Dante," he didn't offer his hand, "and the famous Elena, I've heard so much about you, the woman who reformed the unreformable." "I didn't reform anyone," I said evenly. "I just reminded him who he wanted to be." "How poetic." Rossi sat, spreading documents across the table like a gambler revealing a winning hand. "Shall we discuss terms?" "No," Dante's voice was flat, certain. "We're not negotiating. You're going to give me 48 hours before you publish anything. That's all I'm asking." Rossi laughed. "Why would I do that?" "Because I'm going to find Paolo Benedetti and tell him everything. Give him the chance to prepare his family, or to disappear again, or to go public himself. Whatever he chooses." Dante leaned forward. "And then you can publish whatever you want, but I won't have it on my conscience that I silenced him twice." "You're insane. That ruins the entire expose. If he knows it's coming, he controls the narrative." "Exactly." Dante stood. "That's the point. I don't get to control this anymore. I made that choice 15 years ago, and I have to live with the consequences. But Paolo Benedetti shouldn't have to live with mine." Rossi looked between us, calculating. "What about what I want, the deal I came here for?" "Not happening. You can publish. You can shout from rooftops. You can tell anyone who'll listen about every gray area deal I ever made. But I'm done making compromises to protect myself at other people's expense. Your wife and children will suffer for this nobility." "My wife and children," I said quietly, "will learn that their father chose honesty over convenience. That's not suffering. That's example." We left Rossi sputtering threats, walked out into Milan sunshine that felt cleaner than it had in weeks. "Well," Dante said, "that's done. Now we just have to find a man who's been successfully hidden for 15 years. How hard can it be?" He laughed, the sound genuine despite everything. "With my resources and your stubbornness, probably not hard at all." It took 36 hours, but we found him. Paolo Benedetti, now Paolo Suarez, running a small restaurant in Buenos Aires. Dante made the call himself, on speaker so I could hear. "Paolo, this is Dante Marchesi. I need to tell you something that's going to change your life." The silence on the other end was heavy with recognition and fear. I thought I'd never hear that name again. "I'm sorry, I wish you didn't have to, but someone is about to publish a book that exposes what we did. Your new identity, your location, everything. I'm calling to give you warning, and to say I'm sorry." "Sorry?" Paolo's laugh was bitter. "You destroyed my family to save your father's business, and now you're sorry." "Yes, it doesn't fix anything, but it's true." Dante's voice was steady. "You have 48 hours before this goes public. You can run again, I'll help you, give you resources to disappear completely. Or you can go public yourself, control the story. Or you can go home to your family and explain everything. Whatever you choose, I'll support it. Why? Because my wife taught me that you can't build a clean life on buried secrets, and because I owe you more than I can ever repay. Dante looked at me as he spoke. I took your choice once. I won't do it again. Another long silence. Then, I want to go home. I want to see my daughter, even if she hates me, even if my wife never forgives me. I want to try. Then I'll arrange it. Flights, legal support, whatever you need. And Paolo, I'm sorry for all of it. The line went dead. Dante set down the phone and looked at me with something like wonder. Did we just do something good? We tried to fix something bad. That's not the same thing, but it's a start. Rossi published his book 2 weeks later. It made some noise. There were articles, questions, awkward conversations with business partners. But the story that dominated wasn't Dante's past compromises. It was Paolo Benedetti's return home, his tearful reunion with a daughter who'd spent 15 years thinking her father had abandoned her. The press loved it. The human interest angle overshadowed everything else, and Paolo, it turned out, had no interest in punishing Dante publicly. He just wanted his life back. I don't forgive you, he told Dante in their one face-to-face meeting, which I insisted on attending. But I understand why you did it, and I'm grateful you warned me, gave me a choice this time. It doesn't balance the scales. No, but maybe your kids will do better than you did and their kids better still. That's how we improve, generation by generation. Dante nodded, accepting the truth of it. We left Buenos Aires the next day, flying home to children who'd been worried about their parents' sudden trip. Is everything okay? Lucia asked, too perceptive for 8 years old. Everything is complicated, Dante told her honestly. But we're trying to make it better. That's all anyone can do. The book's fallout was manageable. Some business partners distanced themselves, but others respected the transparency. Dante's company took a hit, but not a fatal one, and slowly, carefully, we rebuilt on more honest foundations. You know what's strange? Dante said one evening, months later, watching Lucia and Marco play in the garden. I thought honesty would cost me everything, but I think I'm happier now than I was when I was hiding. That's because shame weighs more than truth. More wisdom from my conscience. He pulled me close. What would I do without you? Probably something stupid and profitable. Undoubtedly. We stood there as the sun set, painting the Alps in shades of gold and rose. In the distance, I could see the lights of Milan beginning to glow, that city that had once felt so cold and foreign, now just another part of home. My phone buzzed, Chiara always working. The Venice client wants to discuss a partnership. Clean, legitimate art consulting. Interested. I showed Dante the message. He read it and smiled. Venice, where it all nearly fell apart. Or where we learned we could survive falling apart and rebuild. I like your version better. He typed a response for Chiara. Yes, schedule it. We're interested in building things now, not just protecting them. And that was true. These past months had shifted something fundamental. We weren't running from Dante's past anymore, weren't hiding from consequences or managing secrets. We were simply living, imperfectly, honestly, doing our best to be better than yesterday. Elena, Dante's voice was soft. Thank you for not letting me take the easy way, for reminding me that some things are worth the cost. You would have figured it out eventually. Maybe, but I'm glad I didn't have to do it alone. The children called us then, something about a fortress they'd built that absolutely had to be seen immediately. We went, leaving the sunset and the serious conversations for another time, focusing on the simple joy of being present, being family, being enough. Later, after bedtime stories and final glasses of water, and the complex choreography of settling children for the night, Dante and I returned to our room. He was quiet, thoughtful, the way he got when he was processing something significant. "What are you thinking?" I asked, brushing out my hair. "That I want to create something for them. Not wealth. They'll have that regardless. Something better. A foundation, maybe, or a trust that helps people in situations like yours was. Single parents struggling to survive in expensive cities. People who need a chance but can't get one because the system is designed to keep them stuck." I turned to look at him. "That's a beautiful idea. It's penance disguised as philanthropy." "It's both, that's allowed." I crossed to him, taking his hands. "You can't erase the past, Dante, but you can honor it by building something better for the future. That's not penance, that's evolution. I want to name it after your grandmother, the Rosa Russo Foundation, for women and families who need a hand up, not a handout." My eyes filled with tears. Nana would have loved that. Her name attached to something that helped people climb out of the kind of poverty and desperation we'd known. She'd be honored, and probably bossy about how you ran it. "I'm counting on you to channel her bossiness. Someone has to keep me honest." "Always," I kissed him softly. "That's the job I signed up for. Conscience, balance, and permanent pain in your ass. Best job I ever created." We made love that night with a tenderness that felt like gratitude, like two people who'd walked through fire and found each other still standing on the other side. Afterward, wrapped in sheets and moonlight, Dante traced lazy patterns on my shoulder. "I meant what I said before, about being happy. This version of my life, the honest one, is harder, but it's real, and that makes it better. Even with the business losses, the scrutiny. Especially with those, because now when Lucia and Marco ask what I do, I can tell them the truth without leaving parts out. That's worth more than any amount of money." He kissed my temple. "You gave me that, the courage to be honest. You gave yourself that. I just reminded you that you could." Stubborn woman. Impossible man. We fell asleep like that, tangled together, and I dreamed of Nana. She was young in the dream, strong, standing in a field of sunflowers that stretched to forever. She looked at me and smiled. "You chose well, Bambina, both the storm and the shelter. Now make sure your children choose even better." I woke with that promise on my lips. Yes, we would teach them to choose better, to be better, to understand that power without conscience was just tyranny, but conscience without power was just witness. They'd learn to be both, powerful and good, possible and necessary. Just like their father was learning, just like I'd learned. Together, we'd build something that lasted. Not an empire of compromise and gray areas, but a legacy of difficult choices made well, of lines drawn and held, of loving fiercely while living honestly. That was the real inheritance, not money or property or business holdings. Just the knowledge that you could walk through darkness and emerge still yourself, still kind, still trying, still choosing love over fear, honesty over convenience, the hard right over the easy wrong. And if we could do that, if we could be that for our children, then everything else had been worth it. Every cold night, every impossible choice, every moment of doubt and fear and wondering if we'd survive. All of it worth it. For this, for them, for the chance to show that people could change, that grace was real, that redemption wasn't a story but a practice. Daily, difficult, absolutely essential. I fell back asleep smiling, Dante's heartbeat steady beneath my palm, our children safe in their rooms, the mountain standing guard over the life we'd built from broken pieces and stubborn hope. And somewhere I was certain, Nana was smiling too.